material world is so familiar that we hardly appreciate the extraordinary inventions surrounding us. We barely notice modern luxuries like electricity, hot running water, and large panes of glass. And few of us ever consider the conveniences of the modern materials that have impacted our everyday lives. Can a material actually affect the way we live? It's true. The wondrous qualities of modern materials have offered us a high-quality standard of living. We often have a romantic idea of what the good old days were like, but the truth is, the good days are now. Today we enjoy interiors that are cleaner, easier to maintain, and more affordable than what was previously available. One material that has served to transform the modern interior is plastic laminate, the stuff that commonly surfaces countertops, cabinets, and tabletops. This product has provided designers with attractive, durable, stain-resistant, and easy-to-clean surfaces since the 1920s. Surprisingly, the material that is applauded for its attractive qualities was not invented as a decorative material. It was invented as an insulation product for electrical devices, including machinery and radios. Early laminates were used in radio interiors and as coverings for electrical wires so birds could perch on the wires and not be electrocuted. Early laminates were made of canvas or paper that was coated with phenolic resin and formed into tubes, cogs, and balls. While plastic laminates were first invented in 1909 at Westinghouse in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, they were not made into sheets until 1913. This crazy quilt of odd shapes is actually an early sheet of laminate punched into usable flat shapes. The design of interiors in the 1920s was influenced by two popular public concerns: cleanliness and efficiency. At the turn of the century, germs and bacteria were identified as the causes of disease. In response, Americans became obsessed with hygiene as a means of preventing illness. Modernization became synonymous with hygiene. In 1927, what was then known as the Formica Insulation Company filed a U.S. patent for the first decorative plastic laminate. By using colored paper as a top layer, the company could produce a range of 13 solid colors including orange, yellow, blue, off-white, and shades of gray and green. By 1933, the company had extended its range to include 9 crazed or crackled patterns and 6 simulated wood grains in a geometric Art Deco type pattern. And by 1938, the recipe used in today's laminate was perfected with the invention of melamine, a clear plastic used for the surface layer. The decadence of the Roaring '20s whet Americans' appetite for entertainment. In an attempt to overcome the hardship of the Depression, swanky bars and nightclubs appeared all across the country. The bar tops and tabletops of these establishments were surfaced in plastic laminate because the product was impervious to alcohol. Laminate can be made very glossy in keeping with the glitzy nightlife of the era. The 1930s ushered in the popularity of the diner, the American icon synonymous with good, fast home cooking. Diners made of aluminum and chrome with shiny laminate countertops sprung up across the country. Diners became so popular that Americans wanted to bring the diner style home, which led to their popularity. The post-war era was one of prosperity and optimism. It was a golden age when the nation basked in international glory and the economy was at an all-time high. More than 5 million houses were built between 1946 and 1949, and by then, 70% of all Americans owned their own homes. The advent of the two-day weekend ushered in the rise of the do-it-yourself phenomena. DIY became the rage. Remodeling tasks not only improved the value of one's home, they were promoted as a national hobby in which both the husband and the wife were expected to participate.
Have you ever had the fun of modernizing an old house or even a room? It's a lot of fun, it really is. It's been my hobby for years.
In 1959, the Wilson House, one of the first model homes displaying innovative use of plastic laminate, was built by Ralph Wilson of Ralph Wilson Plastics. The home still stands in Temple, Texas, where it has been restored and is currently owned by Wilsonart International, formerly known as Ralph Wilson Plastics. The economic prosperity of the 1950s afforded many families starter homes. But in the 1960s, these homes were glamorized by remodeling and material trends. In the 1950s, many materials featured gentle abstract patterns, but in the 1960s, abstraction became more dramatic. Many companies imported styles from abroad in the form of Italian marbles and Mediterranean tiles. Graphically bold geometric patterns became popular for use as an occasional accent wall. It was in the late 1960s that the colors Harvest Gold and Avocado Green were introduced as the most cutting-edge and stylish colors of the day. And by the mid-1970s, these would become two of the most common interior colors. In the 1960s, laminate made a tremendous impact in the design of hospitals and schools. Cabinets and tables that had once been surfaced in enamel were now being covered in the more durable, not to mention quieter, plastic laminate. Indulgent, dramatic, chemical. These words best define the 1970s, the decadent decade. This was an era when technical and chemical innovation led to the development of the most exaggerated designs of the century. Photographic advancements allowed for the production of deceptively realistic materials. Dye technology created colors that were unprecedented. Unprecedented innovation wasn't the only inspiration of the era. Due to an increase in interest rates and an acute energy shortage, many Americans chose to remodel their homes instead of purchasing new ones. Consumers transformed their banal condominiums and suburban homes into exotic themed rooms with products that had the flavor of far-off lands. Styles such as Spanish, Mediterranean, English Tudor, and Moroccan dominated the market. Not only were the designs dramatic, their application was equally eccentric as interiors were smothered in an extravagant use of laminate. By the end of the 1970s, synthetics and plastics were no longer appreciated as novel inventions of science. The environment was being choked by the affluence of our throwaway society, and Americans retaliated. They wanted products that were kinder, gentler, and more natural. This was the era of the pastel color palette, an abrupt shift away from the garish designs of the previous decade. Abstract patterns practically disappeared, while soft colors like mauve, camel, taupes, pale pinks, and blues became fashionable. 1980s designs celebrated the artificial and the perfection of synthetic finishes. The slick and perfect surface of laminate was in demand for posh commercial office and retail applications, as well as for use in the home. The material excesses of the 70s and 80s led to concerns about the environment, both inside and outside buildings. It was determined that exposure to synthetic materials could cause certain individuals to become sick. Environmental illnesses and sick building syndrome were identified as an adverse reaction to exposure to certain synthetic materials, mold, and dust. Access to the internet and the boom of the global economy led to a growing awareness of the nature of materials. Consumers became savvy and focused on material issues. They wanted products that were renewable, sustainable, and able to be recycled, such as laminate, because it is inert and does not emit harmful fumes. The EPA actually recommends it as an excellent interior material because it acts as a barrier, keeping volatile gases locked away from interior air. In the 1990s, laminate was introduced as a flooring product. Durable, attractive, easy to install. This product was the final major interior material innovation of the century. Laminate will continue to reflect the interest and concerns of designers and common folk alike. and it will continue to provide numerous design options, durability, and all at an affordable price.